Would I be stigmatizing if I saw a 6'9" or taller black man over there? Boy, I bet that guy can really dunk the ball.
Well, that would be a stereotype. I wouldn't say you'd be engaging a stigma.
It's not a stigma.
That's a stereotype, yeah.
What's the difference?
Well, a stereotype is you impute traits to somebody on the basis of how they look. Okay, so you think, well, he can probably play basketball because he's tall and black. Well, you know, maybe on average, tall black guys can play ball, but there could be some who don't. So that's a stereotype. The stigma, like I said earlier, is it's a deeper skepticism about the person. It's not just imputing a trait to him. It's having doubt about really whether or not that person is honorable, whether or not they are fit for intimacy, whether they're competent in some generalized way. So if a kid comes in dressed in a certain way and listening to hip-hop music and you think, well, this person is a thug, this person is dangerous, this person is criminal, that begins to be stigma.
Because you say you've changed your, I don't know if you say this directly, but you've changed your mind on affirmative action, or you explained it differently or whatever. But I bring up the example of the NBA to ask you then, if you apply it to the general society, where is it that affirmative action should be applied, and what does that mean?
Okay. Now, see, I like the NBA example because it helps to show why there are venues where there's a lot at stake, and then there are venues where there's not so much at stake. I mean, the racial composition of professional basketball players is not a big deal. It may be a source of pride for some African Americans, and it may be that some white Americans would be happier if there were more white players in the NBA, but not a whole lot rides on it. It's not like who's working on the Human Genome Project. Okay, who's working on the Human Genome Project? It's not like who are members of the bar in Cook County, which includes Chicago. Who are the lawyers? Who can be the judges? Who goes into court? Those are matters, it seems to me, or who matriculates at the University of Michigan, a state taxpayer-funded public institution of higher education. Those are venues where the absence of African Americans, let's say, the overt, visible absence of African American participation could be argued to injure our society. A bad thing for us, undermining the legitimacy of our institutions, interfering with the securing of genuine equality of opportunity and participation, depriving us of the benefit of the input from et cetera, et cetera. The NBA is not such a venue. So that's one aspect of my answer to you. When we talk about affirmative action broadly, we're talking about, should we take special efforts to try to make sure that we have racially balanced, or at least more representative outcomes in important venues of our public life?
Who decides what venue? I mean, let's take NBA. Let's go over here and talk about surgeons for a minute. You know, who decides who's going to become a surgeon, or who decides who's going to become a judge or a teacher? Who makes that determination, and should there be X% of people in those jobs?
I wouldn't say there should be X%, and of course it's a complex sequence of events that results finally in somebody becoming a judge or a surgeon. With respect to affirmative action, we talk mainly about education in those areas, and so we talk mainly about who gets into medical school and who gets into law school, and of course who decides that are the admissions decision makers for those institutions.